And Weyburn Police Chief Marlo Pritchard joining us. First of all, congratulations, a belated congratulations on the Order of Merit, Chief Pritchard.
Thank you, Glenn. That's been a while.
It's been a little while,
but yes, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
It was terrific news when we saw that come down, and just wanted to extend congratulations and making us proud. And boy, I know it's with a great police force that you have here as well. The members the membership grows there, and you guys are really making a great presence in our community.
Well, I appreciate that, but I mean the Order of Merit, although it was served on me, it's all about the people that work around me. They make my job quite easy. I mean, we've got some great women and men with the Weyburn Police Service that are dedicated to this community. So it's a privilege and an honor to actually be working with the Weyburn Police Service.
And with local policing, of course, you're intertwined with the community day to day, which must make it unique with what we brought you in for today, the new cannabis, the changes to the laws and the legalization of marijuana and things that people need to know in the community. Yeah,
well, it's been a 2-year journey, just over a 2-year journey, and I have sat on a number of committees, both provincially and nationally, on the work that has gone into the new legalization of cannabis. And what has amazed me is how many individuals have put so much work into it to try to make it as seamless as possible, because we really are changing our thinking patterns, in all fairness, because I mean, since I started policing, cannabis, marijuana has been illegal, and that's what we go when we try to enforce the laws and for public safety. As of Wednesday, it was legal. So again, we have to kind of just shift our mindsets. And so it's going to be a learning process, not only for the Weyburn Police Service, but for everybody in Canada. And over time, we will adjust and be able to deal with the just a different mindset, I guess.
And perhaps some clarity on the legalization of marijuana for a number of our people that are listening in our audience. The premise to legalizing it is for one of the reasons is to curb the illegal element, the underground element of the distribution.
That's one of the hope from the government's hope. The position is that it'll reduce or restrict access for youth, increasing public safety, and reduce organized crime. I mean, that's going to take time if it even happens. I mean, I'm not sure if it will or won't, but there's so many aspects that have to be perfect to make that happen. Not only price point, access, quality, all of those have to be better than the organized crime to make a difference, from my perspective.
Which brings a number of questions to mind for people. Can I just walk down the street smoking marijuana?
No, cannabis is very heavily restricted. At least because now you not only have a federal regime, you also have a provincial regime, the Saskatchewan Cannabis Act. And so there is no consuming of cannabis in public unless it's medical. There is an exemption around that. So walking down the street and smoking a joint is illegal, and very much like having open liquor, you would get a ticket. It's a ticketable offense that we would be, at least in the short term, just educating the people of new laws. You can't do that. Eventually, that would probably be about a $300 or $400 ticket.
Oh wow! How about areas, parks, from city parks to regional parks, provincial and federal parks?
They're all different, but basically, rule of thumb is no consumption in public space. So I mean, some parks have different rules. So again, if you're going out camping or something like that, definitely check for that park's rules. Your campsite is, in most campsites or most parks, are looked at as a private dwelling. So you could consume or can consume cannabis on your site. Right now, that is where cannabis can be consumed, is as a private dwelling. So your own house, your own backyard, your deck, over at a friend's house. So it's although it's legalized, it's heavily restricted.
Now, unlike beer or alcohol, when you're in your own yard, in your own space, and consuming marijuana, anybody that's been to Vancouver will know this. You can smell it. Now, if it's affecting the neighborhood, is there any How does that work?
Well, there's no law against that.
Right.
It is a smell. There's no doubt that we are going to see calls because, I mean, everybody wants to enjoy their property without being bothered by their neighbors' activities. But we get those calls now. We kind of classify them as neighborhood disputes, and we go in and try to mediate it. We expect to see an increase in that until everybody gets used to it, and maybe there is I don't know, maybe over time people will get used to the smell, or the people that use will be more considerate of the smell for their neighbors.
Now, we don't have any dispensaries yet in Weyburn. Some are slated to come in the coming year, I guess, or the next several months. So right now, for people that have marijuana on their possession, I guess, do they have to keep a receipt, or how does that?
Well, and that's part of that the supply chain. We realize that it's going to take a while for that supply tail to catch up to the legalization. There's going to be a lot of discretion from the police. I mean, if you don't buy it from a dispensary, technically it's an illegal product, and there are offenses that go with that. But we recognize that. So again, it's going to be part of that. I won't say a grace period, but it's just that education period until the supply picks up and the stores are available. And that I'm going to say is probably within the next couple of months. Everything should be in line.
Now back to personal property. I know this is maybe low-hanging fruit, an easy one to answer, but hey, can I drive down the street and enjoy one of these while cruising up and down the streets of Weyburn?
No, you cannot, and nor can you consume medical marijuana in a vehicle. It's heavily restricted, and that is one of the concerns of police across this country. Is we anticipate increased impaired driving by drug. And we've done a lot of training our officers. We've got field sobriety officers that are able to test not only or observe changes in a behavior, not only from alcohol but also from drug. And then we have drug recognition experts that have gone and done a significant amount of training. And very much like you see on TV, walk the line, but there's a number of tests that they will ask you to do. And they can, just run your reactions and how you act, they can pretty much tell you on what type of drug you are on and whether you're impaired. So we've got a number of trained officers in Weyburn. We are also going to be trialing the new Drager saliva tester. It will be, we do have one member that is a trainer. He just got back from his course. We do not have the unit yet, but I expect to get it within the next 6 to 8 weeks. And we'll probably use that, how that policy is developed. We haven't got that quite locked down yet, but I'm guessing probably around Christmas time, you'll see, how we do those high visibility road checks. We'll probably use that at some time at that point and look for individuals that are impaired by marijuana. And it's just a tool. I mean, it's not something that we can lay charges on, but it's a tool to go to the next step, bringing in an SFST or a drug recognition expert.
Tickets can be pretty hefty. I've seen a few posts on social media already. So as we mentioned, this isn't exactly a free-for-all, and people just need to know what they can and can't do, because you could be doling out a lot of money.
Absolutely. The fines are in line with or larger than our alcohol and gaming regulations. It is a very heavily restricted at this point in time. And again, it's about public safety, especially road public safety and youth public safety. I mean, selling to a minor, possession of a minor, or minor possession. There is a lot of offenses out there, and we're still learning them. I mean, like I said earlier, the first little while will be a lot of warnings given. But you're right, there are some very hefty fines.
A lot of people now live in apartments and in condos. And how does that affect when you're living in a community like that within a building? I know there's bylaws coming.
The owner of the property can set those rules. So, I mean, if you're renting in an apartment, they can say no growing of the 4 marijuana plants, no different than no smoking, and no consuming cannabis. I mean, the owner of the property has that right to set those. Condos, they should set their own bylaws, because it's a little different structure. Every organization has ownership, but it's a condo board. So the condo board needs to set their own bylaws, because right now if they don't have those bylaws in place prohibiting it or restricting it, an individual could use cannabis in that building on their own property, and they would be within the law.
Do you know of any a template for those that own condos or condo organizations that have been used? I know there's some with grandfathering clause, and some that whether they have medical marijuana to have a number of doctor's notes, or is it kind of case by case, and each person takes care of their own situation?
Well, you know what? I don't really know. What we've been saying is, if you have a lot of questions specifically around that, is get a hold of the rentalsman. I mean, we've got an organization in the province that deals with rental properties and that aspect, and can definitely help out the condo boards or presidents of the condo boards, just to get where they need to go and how to set up those bylaws. If they're struggling, by all means, give me a call. I will definitely try to find you who you need to talk to.
Yes, as you mentioned, the ombudsman, and you guys will have resources that people can reach out to the ombudsman if they call you to reach out for that. Or again, it's to the government pages as well.
That is correct. But yeah, we'll help out wherever we can. But again, it's going to be a learning experience for all of us, as we definitely over the next 3 to 6 months, and then it'll be our new norm.
Now, as long as people have been around, there've been an element of organized crime. For a long time with marijuana, and it has been a gateway with organized crime and supplying. I would imagine with that source of revenue taken away from organized crime to a degree, perhaps, they're stepping in other ways. We've heard, and we talked before going to broadcast about crystal meth, about cocaine, about it seems an increased presence of that in our community too, and perhaps organized crime doubling down in distribution. Well,
it's hard to say if they're doubling down in distribution. They've always been involved, from my experience, in the distribution of methamphetamines and cocaine. From a provincial-wide perspective, we are definitely seeing an increase in meth. Locally, we have not only laid more charges in regards to meth and cocaine, we are, again, gathering information that there is a substantial amount of that product in this region, which we are working on diligently and trying to limit the impact.
I just find that absolutely incredible. It's such a dangerous drug. I mean, we know about crystal meth in particular, and is there any reason why it seems in places like Saskatchewan and Alberta and in the Northern Plains states that this has become such a problem?
You know what? I think it's just because it's a fairly cheap high, as I understand it, and you'd be probably better off to talk to some of the guys that are in the drug section right now. But as I understand, the price point is very low, longer high. But unfortunately, it's got a very high addictive quality. So I mean, somebody uses it very shortly after they're addicted to it, and that drives a lot of other crimes. Unfortunately, we're a lot of the other centers are seeing increase in property crimes, violence, because of the addictive nature of that drug and the requirement to get more.
Both the people that are hooked on it and the element that bring it through our area, which there has been some really some dangerous people in the region around, and I know you want people to be vigilant if they notice anything out of the ordinary.
We always need the help of the community. I mean, there's only so many of us out there. So if somebody knows something or has a suspicion, by all means, give us a call. That's how we start our investigations, and that's how we get successful is partnering with the community members. We can't do it on our own.
And it's important to keep everybody safe, especially our youth.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Chief Marlo Pritchard, with us. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.